Hello, 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 beautiful collective. Thank you so much for joining me for another video on Unmasked Universe, where we unmask the universe that lives inside of you. I am thrilled to be here today as we are rising up into the full moon energy. I can really feel the surge of energy within me. I don't know about you, but today I feel like I'm being pulled into the direction of, our future, but it's coming on with such a surge that I really had to ground myself and clear out my chakra system and my energetic field and ground myself in source energy as well, just to recalibrate my vibration because the energy is so high right now. So I don't know if you've been feeling it too, but if you have, get grounded. Don't feel that urge to rush, 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 because right now we're being asked to actually slow it down and fight that urge, because it's the energy that's pulling us in that direction and making us feel like we have to move fast, right? But if we do, then we lose all of our insight into what we actually need to be doing with our energy and our time right now. So, thought I would share that with you. So, today I'd like to actually discuss what the benefit is of separating yourself from the human experience. All right, so that's a big one. And because for a long time, you may have felt like you've been unable to do that. Maybe you're still experiencing that. You may be in a cycle where you're finding it difficult to separate yourself from your feelings, your experiences, your memories, and things that trigger you, your attachments. And if that's the case, then don't fret. This is a learning process and it all unfolds in divine timing for you. So you're not going to miss an opportunity to learn to do that. Um, Even if the energy is speeding up, things will unfold in your own divine timing. So, of course, we can repeat cycles. In fact, while doing my own inner work over the last week, I've really honed in on the fact that I repeated a cycle because I've been asking this question of like, why did I like it was I was creating content and things that I had already done a long time ago, and it was because I teach based on what I'm learning. And after I've integrated it, generally I will teach things, right? And so I had realized all of this was happening for a while and questioning why. And finally, I realized through doing my own inner exploration and shadow work and closing out cycles that I had to repeat a cycle because I wasn't able to let go of the feelings and the attachments to the feelings that I had with regards to my human experience that I had. So it all made sense. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes we're not ready to let go, or something can happen in your life, which is kind of what happened to me, that created such a setback in my human experience that I wasn't able to continue to meet the timelines as they were showing up. So the portals and doing the work that was necessary for my soul to evolve. And so I missed, in a sense, I missed a bunch of opportunities for soul growth, and because of that, I wasn't recognizing that myself. So don't fret if it happens to you. It does happen. We're human beings. We're still having this human experience, but learning to separate yourself from it and what the benefit of that is the next evolution. So as I'm learning this myself, I am sharing it. And in hopes that, it is information that you too can apply to your life in some way, shape, or form. So the benefits of separating yourself from your human experience is the biggest benefit is to give you a perspective on the life that you lived up until the point that you separate from it. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to have a human experience because, of course, your body is present in that energy of the 3D. So you're still going to have your day-to-day experiences. But once you can separate from the attachments of the experiences themselves, you can view things from a completely different perspective. Let's just take the body, for instance. The body. When I was breaking it down, it was a question of, well, what does the body really need? Because if we're looking at it from the perspective of our soul is already healed. Our soul is already complete. And this is something that I'm going to be going into more and more myself because my physical body has endured a lot. And a lot of it was self-punishment, and a lot of it was also external abuse, right? So there was a lot of things that were affecting my body on a physical level and created a lot of autoimmune issues as well as anemia and all kinds of things that affect my energy levels and my physical health. And so for me personally, I'm at this point where, okay, my next stage in or manifestation goals are to really focus on my health of the physical body. And so when I took a step back and I looked at this idea of soul integration, knowing that we are already whole, that our soul is, it doesn't need healing. It's perfect. It's healthy. It's in perfect health and perfect shape already. It's the physical vessel that needs assistance. And so how do we anchor into that frequency of complete health and vitality, um, and heal the body, reverse the aging effects, reverse the health effects? How do we do that? That was kind of my question. So by being able to separate myself from the body's experience, I should say, in this life, it allowed me this perspective that I could see the basic needs of the body in order to heal that. And so I have done some research, but I'm also going to reach out to a doctor of functional medicine to help me further with some of the things that the body specifically will need because I have issues going on that um, conflict dietary needs with one another completely, complete opposite. And so that was the mental construct that was keeping me limited because I was conflicted as to which way to eat, which one would be more important at this point um, in helping me to regain the physical vitality that I needed. So taking a step back from that allowed me to see the body with a detached perspective. And really, when I looked at it, I realized that the body has very simple needs and requirements. Okay. There may be some things that I'm not overly sure on how to handle, which is why I'm seeking help. But the body, in essence, is just asking for very simple needs to be met. One, good sleep and enough sleep. So anytime, like for me, I'm dealing with anemia, which actually makes me very fatigued, very exhausted. And because I am a woman, any loss of blood also affects my anemia. And especially if you have a lot of blood loss, that affects my anemia and my ferritin levels, which is my blood store. So if the iron stores in my iron bank are too low, which they are, then I have no energy and I have this battle going on within my physical vessel. So getting extra rest, taking supplements and doubling up on those supplements during times of blood loss. So if you were somebody dealing with that and you had anemia and you had, say, an accident and you had a lot of blood loss, or being a woman and you have blood loss, then you need to double up, but always consult your doctor because it depends on your levels in your case. In my case, I need to do that because otherwise I have zero energy. I am dizzy. you know, the physical body has all of these responses because it's not getting enough oxygen at that point, and it can't create the energy from the food or the stores that are within it. So I looked at the body's needs and it was like, well, it needs good sleep and lots of rest, especially during times of blood loss or low iron. It needs lots of water. And I've noticed during my spiritual awakening, I really need extra water, more than the daily amount that's called for. It needs proper nutrition, and and this is what I'm getting help with because I don't know what will be best, which path to take first. So it needs proper nutrition, good food, clean food, and depending on what you may be dealing with your physical body, that can vary, right? What you actually need to address. And, you know, maybe you have to start with the terrain, and that's kind of where I'm at, is starting with the terrain of the body and getting that prepped so that the doctor of functional medicine can actually get in there and start working more heavily in the other areas that are causing these issues within me, right? So it needs rest, it needs water, it needs proper and consistent nutrition that is suited best for your body and your needs. What else does it need? Oh, it needs emotional regulation. So your nervous system needs to be regulated in order for you to feel good and balanced in your physical vessel. And then otherwise, it just needs, you know, exercise, self-care. So that's not, if you look at it from a perspective of the body and the body's needs, it's not actually asking you for a lot. And we kind of get wrapped up in this idea that it's a lot because of everything else that is going on in our 3D world. We get wrapped up in all of the details of everything and we put them all together into this experience that, you know, can cloud our judgment, cloud our minds, even exhaust us and overwhelm us, rather than taking a step back and detaching from the experiences that your physical body is having or you are having in that physical body. When we detach from it, though, we can see it from a different perspective where we can categorize the different things that are we are experiencing in our 3D experience, and we can look at it in order to identify what needs to stay and what needs to go. And so when we can put our experiences into chunks like this, like the physical body, this is what it needs. That's all it needs. That's not a lot. If I can meet all of those needs for my physical body throughout the week, then I can anchor into that state of consciousness that my soul is already in, and I can infuse the two together because I'm not taking it personally anymore. I'm not attaching my experience to my soul, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to attach what my physical body is experiencing into how I feel, how I move, what I do, what I choose to do, right? So um, I'm not attaching any emotions to it. I'm not investing any extra time, like spent living in the future in worry or living in the past in regret. I'm just seeing it for exactly what it is, which allows me to be create distance between the two and just say, okay, well, I need to meet XXX needs. And am I doing that currently? Where do I need to adjust? Okay. The same can be said with your actual human experiences. So when you are invested emotionally into those experiences still, then you're unable to actually create detachment between your your highest self, your highest frequency, and your 3D world. No, instead, you're still wrapped up in the drama of things. So any little situation or any person or event that happens in your life will be cataclysmic in a way, in one way or another. It might be minor, but it might seem minor, but it can snowball into something much bigger. And it allows for you to be triggered then into emotional responses, which can then cycle you into a bigger cycle. And I've talked about this a little bit here and there on this channel, where your thoughts and your feelings are not who you are. And so learning to detach from the thoughts themselves is the first step in order to learn detachment from the human experience, because your thoughts do control, well, most people, I should say, allow their thoughts to control then their emotions. And when their emotions escalate and grow and get out of control, then we allow our emotions to dictate our behaviors and how we respond and how we behave and how we continue to stay attached to things. And so taking a step back from the human experience means that yes, you identify the thoughts that are coming through your mind at any given time that may lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. And that could be a range of different behaviors, right? And knowing that there is a chain in the order in how it follows through. And so to detach from your human experience means that you recognize the thoughts and you begin working with the thoughts themselves before they get to the emotions. So, deprogramming the thoughts is the first step to getting to this detached state. Now, does that mean you're not going to make mistakes? Absolutely not. You're human. It's how we learn, right? So be patient with yourself, be calm, it's all a part of the process. The next stage is then the feelings. If you do catch yourself at this point where your thoughts are creating this energetic pendulum that's swinging you into your emotions and they're growing out of control, well, what you'll see is that internally you're going to experience a lot of different physical sensations. You're going to become uncomfortable. Um, it often even leads to, before emotional maturity, this process where most people, unaware how the thoughts are affecting the emotions and not placing a stop in between, that the emotions escalate and trigger your inner child, because at this point, your inner child's needs, actual needs, are not being met, which causes this emotional upsurge because it's triggering unmet needs within your inner child, who then will throw some sort of temper tantrum either way, whether it is internal or an external thing. If it's an internal event, you'll be hearing even more thoughts and more negativity and more self sabotaging um, programming that will lead you into eventually behaving in a certain way. Or you could have an explosive event externally to you in your 3D reality, and your inner child is just simply being neglected at that point, and their needs are not being met. So then they will show it, they will demonstrate it out loud. Of course, we want to avoid this, and that's what emotional maturity is like, identifying how it operates within ourselves and then learning to separate ourselves from that human experience. The benefit of that is that when something does happen in our lives, say we take a step back and we take this detached viewpoint and look at the situation or the behavior or the way in which we thought at that point, which, comes back to a video that I just did recently about this. I haven't named my book yet, but about this book in self-sabotaging behaviors. Um, you can look at it from the point of view where you're not actually attached to the experience itself, which allows you to identify all of the patterns and how that led to you creating an experience in your life that you didn't actually want to create. So you're manifesting into your life either old paradigms, old programs, old ways of being, or you can manifest into your life the desired outcome, how you want to be. But it first starts with your awareness and detaching from the experience. Now, the other benefit of detaching from your experiences is that you're no longer emotionally invested in a negative way. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to experience emotions, but what it means is that you get to kind of control, because it's about self control at this point. You get to control what comes into your experience. And so you can certainly still have experiences that are perceived to be negative in your environment or caused by other people, and you can't control what other people do or what happens in the 3D world with people. But what you can then control is when you're in balance with yourself and you're detached from the emotional attachments to other people's experiences. Because again, we're all having this experience on Earth, and a lot of people are walking around wounded, unhealed, and completely invested and attached to that experience. But what happens for you when you become detached from that is that you no longer go through the same levels and depths of emotion, because you then get to filter how these things actually affect you and choose whether or not you wish to invest emotionally into something. And again, that does not mean you don't feel emotions. It's just, how much are you going to allow other people's situations, circumstances, or their own wounds to affect how that affects your nervous system? Will you invest and attach to their stories or even to your own past stories and your own emotional states and pain, which will then dysregulate you and keep you in a cycle? Or do you learn to see the value in why you had those experiences, learn from them, and in the process, learn to detach from the stories themselves by creating a new path forward? Again, it's about manifesting either the same situations and cycles and patterns into your life by not identifying them and not learning from them, or manifesting your desired outcome by creating shifts, by viewing it from this stance where you're detached, and then therefore you can create that desired outcome, right? You can create more joy. You can create more love. You can create whatever it is that is your desired outcome. So that is the benefit of living in a detached state. Now, does that mean you're um, going to be able to be perfect all of the time? No, because we will always have things that come up and trigger us and that we have to work on. Your life story is different from everybody else's. But what I'm saying is that to focus on the emotions that come up with that trigger is to manifest the same old cycles that you're trying to break. You'll never get out of those cycles by doing that. Instead, changing your focus and your perception of what the trigger means is how you get into a new cycle. You need to actually perceive it as a gift, right? As an opportunity. for you to then choose whether you want to repeat the cycle or not. And so the trigger is just there to show you what needs to be recognized within you and changed. It's not a bad thing, but then you have the choice to either continue down that cycle or attach yourself emotionally to the trigger itself and relive whatever experiences you had in the past that created the trigger, or to choose not to go down that and to look at it from a detached stance and just do some simple reflection exercises and see how that experience triggered that within you so that you could learn whatever it was that needed to be learned so that you could close out a cycle. And now I bring this up because I am closing out many of my own cycles, just like many of you. And so I thought that this information would be, since it's been so relevant for me in my own experience lately, that you would get some benefit from it as well. And so, as I said, as I learn, I like to share. I have goosebumps. As I learn, I like to share what I've learned with you, especially once it's been fully integrated into me, and my perception has completely changed. I will always share this information with all of you. Anyhow, I'm going to leave the video there. I hope that helps, and feel free to subscribe if you're new here. Leave it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. I will talk to you all very soon. I love you. Bye.